Good evening, guys. I'm out for a nice evening paddle, but it's not in a spot that would typically be known as Wildlife Central. It's actually Hamilton Harbor, but there are areas of it that are actually quite nice. So I'm in the northwest corner right now where Grindstone Creek flows out, and all along the north shore it's fairly well forested, A, because there's a major cemetery, or two, so it's not overgrown or not huge houses like you would find in some of the other lakeshore areas. There is some further down to the east towards Toronto, but at the west end, northwest end, it also borders the Royal Botanical Gardens. So there's a fair amount of wildlife. There's some hiking trails in behind me, actually up in the Grindstone Creek area. It's quite nice. So just go out for an evening paddle, see what we can see. Maybe see the sunset, and I may even make my way across into what's called Cootes Paradise, which is on the very west end of Hamilton and underneath the 403 actually, so the other side of Hamilton that swings around to the west side. And that area is also bordered by, the north side is bordered by Royal Botanical Gardens Arboretum, so it's a well-maintained wildlife area, so you can still see quite a bit. So let's go out and see what we can see. I made the quick portage. I wouldn't even call it a portage, it's more of a lift over from Hamilton Harbor now into Cootes Paradise, which is a very shallow area, and it had been a breeding ground for carp. It killed off a lot of, or damaged a lot of the fisheries for the native species. So behind me, I don't know if you can see it or not, is sort of a bridge. But if you notice this vertical slats, and what it is, it's a carp fence. And they try to prevent carp from getting in to Cootes Paradise because all they do is root around and tear up the vegetation. I paddled here last spring, and I can tell you it doesn't really keep them out. But they do track how many they do block, because it doesn't just prevent them, they do capture them as they try to swim through. And I believe, unfortunately, they have at least caught one Asian carp, which is a really bad species of invasive species that hopefully won't actually get into the Great Lakes, but I believe it already is here, unfortunately. As I mentioned before, this whole north side of Cootes Paradise is actually owned by Royal Botanical Gardens, so it is kept wild. There's actually an arboretum at the top of the hill, where you can see a whole bunch of different varieties of trees. There's a whole bunch of tags on them. Quite a few of them are not from this area, so it's interesting to see some varieties. And in the spring, they have a ton of lilac trees that they actually have the Lilac Festival, because there's so many different varieties that they have on site. Really quite pretty. Great place to hike with kids and that, and they do have kids programs as well, where kids can learn about nature and everything. Here. Small island within Cootes. Probably got hundreds, if not thousands, of double-crested cormorants, gulls, and terns. Called Desjardins Channel. It's a creek that flows up into Dundas. A little ways up, there's actually a hard-cut man-made channel that I think was used for some industrial purpose long ago, but is now grown over and very wild. Up ahead where the sign is a split. We're going to take the left channel, which is the man-made channel, and then follow it up as far as we can go. And I know it does meet up at a bit of a beaver dam area, and then we can get back onto the main channel and come back down back into Cootes. May not be the most wild place in the world. Deer flies are telling me, though, they don't care. The sign says we're not supposed to go beyond here from May to the July 15th. I believe it used to be June, end of June, so that's why I thought it was okay. It's currently the 2nd of July, Happy Canada Day related. I actually wanted to get out canoeing yesterday, but he called for thunderstorms in the afternoon, so I decided to forgo it. So anyhow, the main reason I believe is because there is some bird sanctuaries. There is a bald eagle's nest, at least one in the area right near here. So it's probably for that reason we're not supposed to go up here. So I'll have to show you another day. All along the south side, this is McMaster University property. There's some hiking trails, and that was either put in by the university or from the city itself. Now, towards Dundas, it gets quite a bit shallower, and you may actually see carp in the water here as it gets shallower. You might scare them up. I have run into them with my boat. My canoe in the past. So right off the tip of the canoe is where the 403 goes along on the way to Brantford. But beyond it, the larger bridge behind it actually is York Avenue in Hamilton. Getting quite dark now. Not sure you'll see me get to the end, but down in that bay at the low point there, that's where the bridge is, where I put in earlier. Almost back to the car now. Beautiful paddle tonight. Calmed right down. It was a bit of a wind when I first started, but absolutely perfect now. Beautiful warm night. Yeah, it's urban paddling and you get the pollution, and there was even a homeless camp that I think I paddled past, but it's still a nice area. Thanks for watching.